Okay, so on the 9th of June, the topic to ban halal meat will take place in Parliament, having received over 100,000 signatures. So my question to Muslims, if they ban halal meat, what will you do? Because the Quran does say you should abide by the laws of the land. So does this allow you to eat non-halal meat? Or will this be the last straw for you and you will make moves to leave the UK because you may believe or feel that the environment is increasingly anti-Muslim? And the thing that annoys me is the whole conversation around this whole let's ban halal slaughter, they never say kosher. Well, we know why that is. So, and for those who are not Muslim, do you believe that halal slaughter is very cruel? Do you think it's inhumane? Or is this just something that is to drive negativity towards the Islamic community or the Muslim community?
Something's happening in the UK. Quiet but loud. The kind of policy shift that barely makes headlines but sends shockwaves through global faith communities. They're talking about banning halal meat. At first glance, just another animal rights debate. But look deeper and you'll see, this isn't really about meat. It's a power play, a cultural nudge, a subtle pushback against growing Islamic influence in the West. But it's also something more, a wake-up call to Christians, Caribbean nations, and anyone who values genuine religious freedom. And yes, believe it or not, this could directly affect Guyana, the wider Caribbean, and Christian communities around the world. Let's go back to the roots for a moment. In Jesus' time, Jewish dietary laws were followed to the letter. What you ate, how it was prepared, it all mattered deeply. But Jesus brought something radically different. It is not what goes into your mouth that defile you, but what comes out of it. Matthew 15 verse 11. With that one statement, Jesus recentered the conversation. He didn't abolish respect for tradition. He revealed a deeper truth. What flows from the heart is what truly matters. Paul echoed this in Romans 14, urging believers not to argue over food or judge one another based on what they eat. Instead, we're called to pursue peace and avoid putting stumbling blocks in each other's way. From a Christian perspective, dietary laws aren't essential for salvation, but that doesn't mean we should weaponize the law to crush others' sincere expressions of faith. And that's exactly why this halal meat ban in the UK is raising red flags. Both halal, Islamic, and kosher, Jewish slaughter practices date back thousands of years. They share similarities, a swift, deep cut to the throat while invoking the name of God. In Islam, the phrase is Bismillah Allahu Akbar. In Judaism, a blessing is said by a trained shochet. Neither method allows stunning, knocking the animal unconscious, because the animal must be alive, healthy, and whole at the moment of sacrifice. The UK currently requires stunning for most commercial meat, but halal and kosher practices have long held religious exemptions. Now that's under threat. Activists want to remove those exemptions, effectively banning halal meat unless Muslims compromise their religious convictions. Let's be honest, this isn't just about animal welfare. This is a post-Christian society growing increasingly uncomfortable with Islam's visibility and assertiveness, but too hesitant to say it outright. So instead, it shows up in policy through food laws, dress codes, school rules, zoning restrictions. Small steps with big messages. And here's what that message sounds like. We're fine with you being here, but we don't want your faith reshaping our public space. The irony is hard to miss. Christianity in the West is constantly being sidelined. Bibles removed from hotel rooms. Teachers fired for quoting scripture. Crosses taken down to avoid offending others. Meanwhile, Islam is increasingly accommodated. Prayer rooms in public schools. Government recognition of Islamic holidays. Speech laws that protect it from critique, while Christians are mocked openly without consequence. And yet in many Muslim-majority countries, Christianity is barely tolerated. Try building a church in Saudi Arabia. Try preaching the gospel in Pakistan. In some places, leaving Islam means facing prison or worse. So where's the mutual respect? Muslims come to Western nations fleeing poverty and war and are welcomed. But instead of fully embracing the freedoms offered, many bring the same restrictions they left behind, expecting society to adjust. Maybe, just maybe, this halal meat ban is a turning point. Not a perfect one, but a sign that the West is pushing back. Not to target Islam, but to say, we've bent over backwards to accommodate, and now we're asking for balance. Because when one group is allowed to reshape laws, customs, and institutions while another is silenced, mocked, or sidelined, that's not tolerance. That's a double standard. Western society is built on Judeo-Christian foundations: justice, individual liberty, the sanctity of conscience. And those values still matter. Now let's talk about Guyana. Guyana isn't just another small Caribbean nation anymore. It's sitting on vast oil reserves, strategic location, and growing global attention. And right now, it's led by President Irfan Ali, a devout Muslim who speaks openly about his faith and the role of Islam in Guyanese society. Ali's leadership is a symbol, a Muslim leader at the helm of a multi-religious, majority Christian country with massive potential and new international partnerships forming by the day. What happens when a key UK ally, a country that helped shape Guyana's political and economic systems, starts pushing legislation that restricts halal practices? It doesn't just raise eyebrows. It raises questions. Will Guyana feel pressure to respond or stay silent? Will Ali's government see it as an insult to Muslim identity or a warning about the fragility of religious freedom? Even in the so-called free world, it could complicate trade talks. It could strain diplomatic relationships. It might force Guyana to quietly pick a side in a global cultural divide it didn't ask for. And the Caribbean diaspora in the UK, especially those with Muslim roots, will feel the effects too. Because when religious dietary practices are criminalized, it's not just legal. It's deeply personal. This brings us to a broader point. Caribbean Christians, it's time to wake up. For too long, we've been the quiet ones, the peacekeepers, the let's not rock the boat generation. But while we whisper prayers, others write policy. While we focus on loving everyone, others focus on asserting dominance. And while we stay silent, our faith, our values, and our legacy get erased. Christianity isn't just about going to church on Sunday. It shaped the very DNA of Western civilization, law, education, freedom of thought. If we don't defend that, we risk losing more than meat. We risk losing meaning. Let's be real. If halal meat gets banned tomorrow, you'll hear Caribbean Muslims in the UK joking. No halal curry goat? No oxtail with rice? No more halal roti corner store? What are we supposed to eat now? Boiled dumpling and vibes. But behind the joke is something real. Faith and food are deeply connected. Culture, family, belief, they're all on the line here. So here's the bottom line. This debate isn't really about food. It's about freedom. Like, if you're tired of the double standards, subscribe for bold Caribbean breakdowns. Comment, is this halal ban about animal rights or something deeper?
What's happened in Denmark, and that the practice of halal and kosher should be banned in the UK.
No,
this is also...
I do not. I emphatically do not agree with what they've done in Denmark, and no government of which I'm a part will follow suit. Of course, I want to see animal suffering minimised. Everybody does. Where they can be, where they can be.
British Veterinary Association.
Well,
I'm sorry to
I
interrupt,
disagree with him. I disagree with him. I disagree with his suggestion that we basically remove the right of Jewish communities in this country, Muslim communities in this country, to stick to their religious beliefs about how they prepare food and how animals are slaughtered.
But animals are caused unnecessary suffering, he would argue.
Well,
Mr.
as I say, we should try and minimise that. Where they can be stunned, they should be stunned. But I'm not going to ever advocate that we remove the deeply held beliefs amongst members of our Jewish community and Muslim communities about, and these are ancient beliefs handed down over generations, that somehow we should now, as they have done in Denmark, prohibit them from following their practices and their beliefs. I just don't, as a liberal, I believe in trying to protect that kind of diversity, not trying to squash it.
Use of stunning before slaughter. Animal welfare is a concern shared by many across the globe, and within this context, the subject of pre-slaughter stunning is frequently raised. Proponents argue that stunning an animal before slaughter reduce its suffering, and is therefore a more humane approach. On the other hand, many in the Muslim community hold strong concerns that stunning might be contrary to halal principles. The traditional zabiha method, they argue, adheres to most closely to the respect for life prescribed by Islamic teachings. So, here we have a complex issue that walks a delicate line between religious obligations, animal welfare, and varying interpretations of Islamic law. The diversity of views is broad, with some suggesting that a careful, respectful approach to stunning can indeed fit within halal guidelines, while others see it as a clear contradiction. As always, I encourage thoughtful conversations, respectful debate, and most importantly, shared learning.
What are your views on halal meat then, Alex? Oh, well, wind me up and watch her go. No. I don't like
That was it. Watch her go. Oh, that was quick. All right, well,
no, my view on halal meat is this. Look, I actually have lived and worked in Muslim countries. I'm actually off somewhere in the near future where I'm sure most of the meat is halal, and that's what they do there. That isn't what we do here. If people want to have imported meat from halal butchers, we live in a global world where you can import, I don't know, truffles from northern Italy. So fine, be my guest. But halal is not what we do in this country. The reason we don't do it in this country is because, by and large, most people think that it's inhumane. Most people like the idea of an animal being stunned before it is slaughtered so it doesn't unnecessarily suffer. And I don't believe in unnecessary suffering. And I don't like the fact when you go into, walking down my road in London, you've got a Taco Bell. I don't know what. This is a halal meat branch. No.